Very good. Thanks everyone for taking the time here. As was mentioned, my name is Tom Kurtz. I've been with Hexagon, our Asset Lifecycle Intelligence division, for about 1 year now. I am, as mentioned, the lead for our EAM segment, our EAM portfolio. So great to be here talking to you today. So I actually have 5 different areas I want to touch on. There are a couple announcements in terms of some new products, what we're doing in artificial intelligence. We wanted to give an update on an acquisition we made in the past, a new one that we just made last month, and provide a little bit more update on where we're going in terms of not only our user experience and some of the changes that will be coming with that here in the next year, but also some industry focus. I was just talking to Peter outside, industry focus in the utilities area, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Okay? So with that, Gen AI, something called Hexagon Alex. So in the November timeframe, we announced an Gen AI assistant called Hexagon Alex. We're the ALI, Asset Lifecycle Intelligence division of Hexagon Alex. And I want to spend a few minutes. This is the area that we want to focus a little bit more on today. I've got some of the other 4 that we saw, but I want to start by talking about where we are today, why we're here, and where we want to go. And this slide focuses on a lot of that. So first and foremost, we wanted to make sure what we were doing is secure. So we recognize the crucial nature in what we're doing with artificial intelligence. We want to be able to make sure everything that we're doing is not externally available across the larger internet. We want to make sure that what we're doing does not hallucinate. We want to make sure that we're able to manage that from a security standpoint. Also want to be able to look at that from a privacy standpoint. We have customers' data. A lot of our customers for EAM are on the cloud today. It's a SaaS-based subscription business, and so we want to be able to make sure that we're managing that as well. Accuracy is very important, and we're going to talk about this on the next slide in terms of the path we're taking towards some of the technology we're using, from retrieval augmented generation, eventually getting to agentic RAG, as well as eventually getting to AI agents. And so we're going to talk about a little bit about that, not at a detailed architectural level, but wanted to show that that's an important path that we want to take. We are seeing in the industry a lot of people making announcements about AI. We're seeing people talking about where they want to go with AI, but we wanted to make sure that we had something very tangible right out of the gate, and then we want to be able to communicate where we're going with that. And finally, accessibility. We're a global company. We have thousands of customers overall. They're in many different countries. They're all in all of our regions. We have the major regions of the Americas, EMEA, APAC, Asia Pacific, and Greater China. So we have customers in all those areas, and we want to make sure that the accessibility is there from a language perspective and a technology perspective. So let's talk a little bit more about, is it moving here? There we go. Is that the right? Yes, perfect. So a little bit about the roadmap. What's available today? So the first line there in terms of user assistance, database, queries, and prescriptive, and I apologize, I thought I had my teams off, but I apologize if that pops up. Each of the top areas there, from the first quote to the second quote to the third quote, one of the things that we want to talk about is what we're doing today, what we're going to be completing in 2025, and then what's coming in 2026 and beyond. So today, I mentioned the RAG, the retrieval augmented generation and fine tuning. So the idea there is we want to be able to provide user assistance. We want to have a database, if you will, a knowledge base that we can have specialized documents, and we can be able to pull from that. So today you can ask, and this is available now, as mentioned, since last quarter, you can ask questions like, how do I apply corrective action for identified root cause analysis? So we'll see a use case in just a moment of how this would work, but basically if you're in the system, you're running a root cause analysis, you want to be able to verify a functional step in the system, you can put that in, and Alex will come back with that information. And the accuracy that we talked about on the last slide is going to be ensured because of what's been trained. It's the knowledge base that is all of the data, all of the technical documentation for the system. We're not pulling from customer data. We're not pulling from the external internet. We're pulling from that knowledge base that's been created there. Next stage where we want to get to, we want to continue to grow down that maturity level from reactive to preventative to predictive, all the way to prescriptive for asset management. So we're starting to get closer to that later this year when we do things like database queries. So now we're actually going to start to be able to take that information that we talked about from our core knowledge base from about the system and be able to complement that with the historical data in the system from the functional data, if you will, of the EAM system. So questions like, on the second column, how many work orders were created last month for Pump 101? Now we're getting more targeted. We're actually going to use some of that information that's in the system and complement it with the technical system. We'll be able to do action generation, like create a work order for Pump 101 to do a gasket inspection, assign it to Greg Smith. So now we're actually taking action based on this as well. So we're going one step further. And then finally, from a long-term perspective, and this was really coming from someone who's been around asset management for a number of years, that holy grail of being able to be more prescriptive. So not being able to just go rear view mirror, but actually go dashboard, go forward and say, questions like analyze the failure history of Pump 101 and suggest changes to my current maintenance plan. We talk about dynamic maintenance planning with asset strategy leading to maintenance execution. We're going to talk in a moment about how our Hexagon EAM and our Hexagon APM work together. And this gives an example of how Alex is going to be able to complement that. I wanted to not leave here without showing a little bit of an example. So this is an example of the root cause analysis we were talking about. So the user in this system is going through and looking at an analysis of what might have been root cause. They're going to go in there, they're going to prompt that same question that we talked about a moment ago in terms of confirming how to apply corrective actions. And so now you're seeing Alex coming back with that system. So it becomes at this stage, this is that user assistance we talked about at the beginning. This is allowing the user to be able to very quickly and in an interactive fashion get that information back. The users are already telling us they like this from the sense of a lot of times you go to a online help, you'll type something in, it's not exactly what you want, or it's going to give you a few links, but it doesn't give you the exact context of what you're looking for. So that's Hexagon Alex. More releases are coming later in Q2, again in Q4, and then of course next year we're very excited about that. Moving on, next topic, something that you'll hear myself talk a lot about, smarter asset management, and operations. And one example of that, there's a broader portfolio that I could go into. I've elected not to do that. I wanted to talk specifically about what I alluded a moment ago with APM and EAM. Last year, just as an update, we acquired a company called IDIS Digital. So Hexagon EAM is a product that's been part of our portfolio for about 4 years. We saw the opportunity to complement that with asset performance management. So asset strategy, being able to look at how do I manage my risk better? How do I look at dynamically creating maintenance plans better? And so we want to be able to have an APM system that could complement that EAM system. That came in the acquisition of IDIS Digital. That was less than a year ago. That was in April of 2024. And we're starting to see the benefits that we wanted to see for this. So this is something I wanted to make sure that the team was aware of. This is a view of how we talk to our customers, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback in terms of the combination together, and it's about ultimately driving optimized asset management. So we have customers on the left side here who have very effective strategies, but they're poorly executed on that. We have customers that are looking at very well-executed maintenance planning. A lot of our EAM customers have this, and they're wanting to go to the next level. They want to extend those processes further upstream into the actual asset strategy. The customers are saying, we want to be able to take a specific class of assets, and we want to be able to treat Class A different than Class B. We want libraries that allow us to do this in a more accelerated fashion, and then once we have that, we can manage dynamically the different maintenance plans we put together for those. So we're starting to see this come to fruition, just like we had hoped last year. So that was an update I wanted to give as well. Is today we have integration. The integration is a lot of the points that you see up there. I won't go through every single one, but you see a couple I definitely want to call out. The third one there, around 200 asset and order extraction classes. We actually have a library with a lot of these core risk mitigation strategies and identified failure modes for about 200 asset classes. We're continuing to add to that. If we run into a customer that needs something custom, we can add to that. So a lot of excitement there. And from a results to date, I did want to call out, obviously not going into specific numbers, but we have our first deals. We've closed some deals this year already. So customers that are looking at both EAM and APM. And we seek opportunities for future growth as well. So we continue to have a joint roadmap between the two products. In fact, those two products roll up into a larger operations and maintenance portfolio area. So that's part of the area. I work with another individual there, and we work with our product organization. So very excited about not only where we are and that we're closing business, but the additional business that we will be able to develop with customers based on the future integration. Okay, moving on, advanced visualization. So I talked about IDIS Digital, an update from an acquisition last year. We actually just in last month, we actually acquired a company, announced the acquisition of a company called CAD Service. CAD Service is actually a company that we've been partnering with for quite a while. In fact, if you look at some of the details, this is a company that we've worked with prior to Hexagon when EAM was part of a previous organization. And it's a small Italian company, and they have allowed us to create deep visualizations. Previously, something called OpenCAD. OpenCAD allowed us to pull in 3D imaging and have that be a more visually pleasing and helpful opportunity for our technicians and for our planners. We recently have something called Reality Viewer. And Reality Viewer, I'll take a moment here and just talk over this as it plays. But Reality Viewer is an opportunity to take reality capture scans and bring it into the system. And I won't go exactly screen by screen, but what the system's showing here now is it's actually taking those scans. When the scans came in, and by the way, Hexagon can do the reality capture. It has scanners that do this. It has a business that does this. It can bring in the reality scans. When you bring in those scans have geotags located within it. And within Reality Viewer, what we're going through right now is we're getting a level set of what the facility looks like, where all the pieces are, where all the subcomponents are, the systems, the subsystems, et cetera, for the assets within the facility. And then we can actually go and take those geotags, and then within each geotag, you can basically associate it and create an asset in the EAM system aligned with that geotag. So what you've basically done by that, and you'll see here in a moment, you've allowed the linkage between those geotags and the scan to your assets in EAM. Once you have that, now you can downstream be able to assign documentation to it. You can, when you assign a technician to it, when you do some of those things that we were about to do with Alex in the future that you just saw, from an AI perspective, you can actually see more of this tied together with the linkage between reality capture and the assets, which then tie into the work orders. So something we're really excited about, just to close it out here on the video, we have, at this point, we're finalizing the association with the assets. You see at the bottom there, it's validating, the system's validating to make sure the data is accurate, the process is accurate. And then at this point, you're actually now switching users. You're in the EAM system, you go to Reality Viewer, you're now looking at an asset in the upper left there. You're looking at an asset that has been created in EAM that's associated with that geotag. So we're really excited about this. This was released last year, but the acquisition, the company that helped us build this, we've acquired this company. And we're really excited because with CAD Service now being a part of Hexagon, we can also look at this functionality and where else do we want to apply? How can it apply to APM? How can it apply to some of our operate and production process control systems and so forth? So a lot of excitement there. Now, as we're getting close to wrapping up here, all right, there we go. Yeah, okay. So just closing it out with a couple summary slides here. Hexagon EAM has been around for decades. We're very excited by the customer base we have, and because of that excitement we have, we want to continue to push ourselves from a user experience standpoint. So 3 areas just to touch on here. From an advanced analytics standpoint, what we mean is today we see a trend, which is customers will see information in their analytics, but they want to download that. They want to put it in Power BI. They want to put it into a spreadsheet. They want to take it offline and manage it that way or analyze it that way. While there's always going to be some component of that, we do want to be able to create the system such that there's dashboards that I can get all my information. Maybe I can drill in and drill down and continue to get that information. Maybe I want to be able to have a BI system where I never need to leave the system. So we want to continue to add and innovate in the advanced analytics areas. From a next generation technology, we recognize that the term that we continue to hear is consumerization. So we want to continue to create a system that matches what this next generation of users want. They want to be able to have it look like their phone. They want to be able to have less clicks. They want to be able to have our workflows manage their expectations. So we continue to do that. We've made changes in the past. We're going to continue to do that. And then finally, from ease of use of implementation, kind of the same thing that we were just talking about there, being able to drive and foster that use for the next generation. So, and with that, we have one more area we're going to touch on, and that is in the area of utilities. So the main announcement or awareness we want to create here, as mentioned earlier, there are different functions of different divisions of Hexagon, and we have a business that focuses in the utility space, in the telecommunication space, and we have a couple products. One's called Hexagon Networks, the other's called Hexagon In Service. And we see opportunity in the future to align those more to our EAM business and to some of our design tools as well. So this just shows some of the functional areas that we focus on there, from a planning and a design execution and through to operations and maintenance. So we're talking to Peter Manos outside. He used the term smart infrastructure, and I think that's a term we hear a lot. And I think we as Hexagon have a continued opportunity with the opportunity to bring all these products under one umbrella, portfolio umbrella, to be able to drive more smart infrastructure for our customers. And with that, comes to a close. Hopefully this has been helpful for you, and I think we have an opportunity for a few questions now.
Yeah, there's time for questions for Tom. Does anybody have a question? Starting, okay.
Yeah, I was just wondering where, and I always have to ask like where the numbers being crunched, but so what are the data sources that are brought in? How are they networked to wherever they're going to be analyzed? Where does the analysis occur? Like, is it on the edge? Is it in a central area? So where is, Reality Viewer doing its work? Just from my own understanding.
Yep, sure. I'll give you my best answer. If we need to go deeper, happy to follow up offline on that. So the biggest opportunity there is working with a reality capture technology. So right now we do that within Hexagon. We have a product called Reality Cloud Studio. That product is able to and a scanner. So that's the software side of it. The hardware side of it is various scanners, even to the famous Boston Dynamics dog that you see. You can have scanners associated with those kind of materials, with those kind of equipment. You're able to bring that data in from a reality scan standpoint. That creates, in essence, input data that you can bring into the EAM system that you are able to do what you saw on the screen here. So the source data would be coming from the reality capture software and hardware, and then the detail below that, what formats that is, what are the different options for it, would probably be a bigger offline conversation. I believe it can be both. I'm going to cheat a little bit, look at Pete. Yeah, it can be both. Yeah, cloud. Yeah, it can be cloud or on-prem. Right now, we focus on cloud because that's where we're trying to drive most of the technologies. But yeah, cloud is the target. Yeah.
Another question.
Thank you. Great presentation. And
thank you.
I was just wondering, like, in terms of strategy, you have asset performance management and enterprise asset management. and one of the best ways to improve the performance of assets is, doing maintenance on the right time, right,
Yes.
on the right machine. So any ideas about maybe acquiring CMMS system or something like that?
Well, it's so an interesting question. So my take on that is, and we can have a bigger discussion on this, but for me, what we do in an EAM system from a Hexagon perspective goes larger than what you would do in a CMMS system. So from a core work order, if you look at CMMS as core work order management, the maintenance execution, the ability to create maintenance notifications, create work orders, assign to technicians, and so execute the work. CMMS can do that, EAM can do that. What we're excited about is beyond that, we also look at your broader MRO capabilities. So how do I do spare parts management? How do I do procurement? How do I do my inventory side of it? And how do I integrate all that to my ERP system? So I wouldn't see a separate CMMS acquisition, because I think we're covered in that area. Where we're excited about is how do we continue to not only integrate where we want to go from an APM perspective, but with utilities, what are service opportunities that we want to look at? Is that an interesting market? Where do we want to go from building on the inventory and the procurement functionalities that we talked about? Because I think within EAM, you're getting some commoditization in terms of the work order management, and we want to be able to say what are the areas that we go above and beyond, whether it's the advanced visualization that you see, whether it's the functionality and something like Alex that can take you more prescriptive. So hopefully that's good, but I'm happy to chat more on it. Yeah.
Other questions? Okay, seeing none. Tom, thank you very much.
You
Really
bet.
appreciate
Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.